Okay, welcome back to the channel, the first full jerkbait episode of the season, and just in time for our big 4th of July sale at cookingandfishing.com. Starting now, everything is 20% off, all the OG blades, max blades, the single jig and jerkbait virtual lessons, and yes, even the new batch of Dart 79 MDF jerkbaits, 20% off while supplies last. And here's the new colorway for July called Sexy Mullet, which is a play on the staple crankbait color Sexy Shad, a blue scale pattern back blending into a rather muted, tasteful chartreuse side, almost a jade color, and then fading into that pearl white belly, bright orange throat for a good target, and enough flake in the paint to make the whole thing pop. Murky water, low light, this will be a staple colorway for sure. The sale will run for exactly 1 week, ending next Tuesday on the 7th at noon. So as usual, I'm starting off throwing the single jig just to get a lay of the land, and here I've paired the OG glow blade to the white 6-inch jerk shad. Not a combo that I've tried until a couple of my friends caught giants on it this past month. After seeing photos of that white on white combo hanging out the jaws of shore mats, I'm giving it a go. Though this fish is obviously far from a shore mat, let's see what bites next. So a little better, but not what we're looking for. At this point, I'm going to switch to the jerkbait, since certain conditions are being met. There's baitfish present, there's actively feeding fluke, and everything is taking place relatively shallow, less than 8 or 9 feet deep, so I can reach them with the Dart 79 MDF. Now some Jerkbait 101, I make the cast, I reel down to depth using the bill to index bottom, and here I'm making sure that my drag is set properly for jerkbaits, which is roughly half the strike drag setting for jigging. One thing to note, the water clarity isn't great, but it isn't terrible either. This is considered pretty clean for this spot, and keep in mind that water clarity is relative to location. Here I have about 3 to 3.5 feet of visibility when normally 2 feet is considered decent, and that's more than enough to tie on the jerkbait, albeit a very high vis color in the Fluke Candy Super Glow. So first cast with the jerkbait, and we're in a keeper size class of fish. Not the first time I've experienced larger fish needing to be triggered by a hard bait, and I dare say it won't be the last. And as you see, I'm back using my Steve's AGS, the staple shore fluking rod I've been using since 2021. We definitely needed some time apart, but after testing and reviewing a plethora of sub $200 rod options, all available now on the channel by the way, it's nice to be reunited with the greatest spinning rod ever built. Which by the way, along with the Cork Tatula and Ultegra that I recommend, is back in stock at the Tackle Trap. All links down below in the video description. Rest of the gear I'm using today, my 23 Vanquish 3000 MHG, another champion acquired several seasons ago that's as good as new, PE1 X-Sprayed X8 to a 12-pound Sunline Sniper leader. Generally, I'll go 14-pound sniper if I'm only single jigging, and 12-pound if I'm mixing it up jigging and throwing jerkbaits like I am today. Get it now. So obviously dinks will eat the jerkbait too, But in any case, one note about gear. When it comes to light jigging for fluke, the appropriate size gear is paramount, meaning no matter how nice your surf or inshore combo is, there are simply the wrong tools for this job. The right tool is a medium to medium light freshwater bass rod paired to a 2500 size reel. Now the only thing to note is some very nice jig rods are not quite suitable for throwing jerkbaits. For jerkbaits and crankbaits, you need something more moderate and loads deeper into the blank. Since we're dealing with small treble hooks, and a very fast, stiff rod is going to pull hooks all day. Not bad, average size is creeping back up for sure after that last fish. Now let's talk about the jerkbait retrieve. I see a lot of people not understanding the importance of a slackline pause. Every time you see me pause the retrieve, whether it's after a twitch, a jerk, or a pull, I am throwing slack back at the bait. Enough slack that there is zero tension and the jerkbait can float freely. If you stay tight in between inputs, or if there's any tension on the line whatsoever, that bait will stall out and look very unnatural. That's not what we want. What we want is that bait to dive and cut left and right, then abruptly stop and start floating away. It's that contrast of slashing into their face, then floating away from them that triggers most of these bites. That's the point of throwing a jerkbait for fluke. And to do it correctly, you must incorporate slackline pauses into your retrieve. Even when you see me reeling, I am only taking up the slack in between rod inputs. I'm never reeling into the bait. I want that bait to be free of any tension and then abruptly cutting and diving again, going from that slow free float to darting and diving with no transition in between. That abrupt and erratic action is the goal with the jerkbait. Now those of you who wanted to deep dive into jerkbait and crankbait tactics, as I've mentioned, the virtual lesson on the topic is also on sale at cookieandfishing.com. Feels big. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's the jerkbait fish I'm looking for. Fat, healthy, almost 22 inches and shaped sort of like a diamond. Okay, I'll stop talking for now and jump back in when we switch locations and tactics. Yeah, that hook was not coming out, lodged firmly in his tongue. And this is the final jerkbait keeper, barely a keeper, but I'll take it. Now on the way home, I stopped at this other spot, which is much deeper and is back to the single jig plus blade. Holy shit. So you saw how quickly I set the hook, but that jig is gone. Since I'm not keeping fish, I'm going to cut the line short and hope for the best. I don't see any blood, and fish do eject jig heads from their stomachs all the time based on actual scientific studies. Now I know someone is going to say I should go in through the gills and reverse the hook out. If you think that's possible here without culling the fish outright, you're a moron. But feel free to leave a comment below because I really care what you think about my decision to release this fish. Okay, that's it for me. Remember to check out the website for the biggest sale of the year. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Have a great July 4th holiday, tight lines, and I'll catch you on the next one.